Whether under the W, where the pool's been prescribed.
Yeah.
What are our numbers there for the pool?
Oh, I just did that so you weren't confused. So you just basically start that cycle there. So you do like a 1 to 5. And a 5. Yeah. So your pull will be the heavy one here. So you can do a heavy one here, the 3 on the first.
Yep.
And then the pull that you third.
Cool. Could you not inverse that? So you're not doing 2 maxes on the...
You can do that as well.
You can do that, okay.
Yeah. So you can kind of get away with it. You don't need 2 sort of lower body max effort workouts in the same week.
Yeah.
But you can do an upper and a lower. So you can do an upper body max effort workout on the Wednesday and a lower body max effort workout on the Friday. Yeah.
You know what
At least.
Yeah. Yeah. But if that's going to be too hard for people, which it's not, because you think about it, they're going to do the 5 here, the 5 here, the 1 times 5, 5 times 3.
Yep.
Volume there for the press.
Yep.
The next pull is going to be the volume, 5 to 7 times 3. They're going to smash out a max effort press here, and then they'll do the max effort here, and then they've got the weekend off.
It's much lower volume.
Yeah, so, and they've got more than 70, isn't it? You've got to have at least 72 hours between similar lifts. All right, and which we've got. So we've got more than 72 hours between those 2 pull workouts.
You know what would be really great? Like, I know for myself, I learned through doing. You guys should have some kind of like online training that we all do that spells this out.
Doing some
Like
online-
as in we train using this method that's written by you guys. Like you write programs for us to do.
Oh, you want us to train you?
Yeah.
In other words, you just want to hang out with us more.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
That's how I'm hearing it.
That's how we do
And next you,
I think you want to hang out with me.
and next you're going to say, and could you give me the program over dinner? Hey, look at this one. She won't back you up. I see the eyes. I see what's happening here.
All right.
You saw it before, guys. You know how I can read people? I'm reading them.
Are you asking if the content is going to be online? Like if this...
No, she's asking me out. All right, you win. Where do you want to go?
You choose. I'm not taking on the masculine role. You've got to be.
I'll think about that. Okay, this got out of hand pretty quick. Got myself into the tape. Right. Okay, so practice it, just write it out, and play with it. So now you're realising that you've got to get good at strength, you've got to understand conditioning, you've got to know how to use the stuff to get weaknesses in conditioning, how to go from using conditioning to max effort or just basic condition at the 60 yards. You've got to know how to modify the main lifts based on what the clients have. So for example, we talked about Jason, structural issues. We don't go into the close, we've got to go into the wide stuff. You know, like the sumos and all that. And one of those sorts of variations, how can we keep building that out for them? You've got to start thinking about how to become a coach that can understand weaknesses. Right? What if someone tells me, like, they're like, what's his name? What's the legal name? What's his name? Dan. Yeah, like Dan. I'm so, I call him so many names, I should forget his real name. So Dan Yostibath, he goes, I want to keep building strength, but I want to bring up my arms, I want to bring up my calves. Do you know how to do that as a trainer? Like, do you know how to bring in S2 to get those weaknesses? What if your female client, who you're getting stronger, goes, I want to bring up my ass and my hammies? Right? What if she comes in and she's quad dominant? What S1 would you use to hit her weakness? What S2 would you use to hit her weakness? So I want to make sure you got this, right? Get a piece of pen and paper out. Oh, here we go. This is the last thing, and then I'm passing you over to Alexa. We can be here to 6 o'clock, by the way. You all guys good with that?
Yep.
That's our
Just be honest, guys, we know where to go, right?
Like your
All
bum.
right.
Oh, I know. I was so sad when I got that cut.
sad, it's not
Right.
quite
So,
proud.
you've got a female client come in.
It's only one side though.
Female. And I want you to write down here S1, S2, S3. Just make,
It's because
just keep it nice and easy. She comes in, she has no problems, but she's quad dominant.
you got to dry your board off, otherwise it's going to kill your pen.
She's quad dominant. How would that affect your selection of exercises in S1? Just write it down. Not really going to affect the push, but what about the squat? What about the pull? What would you give her?
Box squat. I run out of paper.
Well, you're going to be thinking if she's quad dominant, that means we need to give her more hip torque dominant movements, don't we? So what's a good S1 squat?
Oh, sorry. It took my head.
Why do you think I love wide stance squats and wide stance pulls? Because you're creating force laterally to the ground that builds hip strength, hip torque. That carries over to your athletes that need to have directional change. How many athletes need directional change? Yeah. Narrow stance squats do not improve lateral change. Wide squats, yeah, you got me. All right. So you might have there a box squat, or just a wide stance squat, a sumo pull. Now, next question. What S2 exercises would you give her to support that? Write it down. What's her weakness? Glutes, hamstrings. What can you give her to hit that weakness? If she's quad dominant, she's probably really tight for the rectus femoris. The rectus femoris attaches to the AIIS, anterior inferior leg spine. When that gets tight, they often get anterior hip pain. They often get sagittal plane position of the pelvis, which is forward, which is weakness in the lower abdominals. That's why their hammies and glutes get worse. That's why they get hamstring strains. So you're probably going to give us something for her lower abdominals. You're probably going to give us something for her glutes and hamstrings in the S2. What could you give her in S3 that's going to be of value? Surely you know that by now. Yeah. Right, let's add to it. You're seeing how easy this is. The same girl comes in, she's quad dominant, but now she's got a lower back weakness as well. And she's got like a little bit of a red circle around the lower back that she's getting when she's doing her box squats. That's a pain in the ass, isn't it? What might be going on in the lower back?
Losing tightness.
No?
Losing tightness, maybe, when she squats.
Well, two things, guys. One, is the problem coming because she's rounding at her lower back and she's potentially getting a disc injury, like she's moving in that direction? Or is it because she's too lordotic, remember weak lower abdominals, and she's actually creating extension pain in the lower back, aggravating the facet joints? Let's say that she's starting to round her lower back as a weakness. What's the way that we can squat her without loading that weakness right now? So if we want to, so she's had a disc injury and she's come out of rehab, and we don't want to actually put too much load through her lower back while we're still building up strength based on her quad dominance.
Do like trap bar squats,
Yeah,
Perfect.
belt squat, yeah.
Belt squat. Fantastic.
Deload the spine.
Harness around her waist.
Yeah.
We can box squat her. Why box squat her? Because she's still got the quad dominance. So we can use a belt squat to hit the weakness without axial loading. We can still sled drag her while we're doing stuff to target her lower back, which might be reverse hypers, isolation work for lower back, and things for multifidus.
What about things like pull-off presses? Like, because I notice you don't really look at specific like core work because of course.
No, we do. Okay, so the question is, I know you don't do specific core work. Here's my thing. What I do is I target whatever's weak.
Yep.
If someone's lower back is weak, I always go, is there a way to hit it in the main lift, which is the supplemental?
Yep.
Can't always. And then I go, what's the accessory work that I can do to hit it? If someone's lower back is weak, right, apart from using specialty bars, so let's say the weakness is presenting itself in the squat. If it's the lower back weakness, well then I can hit that in the squat by using a safety squat bar. I can hit it with accessory work by doing things like reverse hypers. If I need to really regress back because there's an injury, then I'll not only reverse hypers, but I'll start targeting the lumbar multifidus. Right, go right down a layer and hit the segmental issue. What if it's a weak core? Right? Can I target it in the squat? Absolutely. I'll use a rackable cambered bar. Anyone ever tried the rackable cambered bar?
No.
It doesn't challenge the hip shoulder line as much because it sits lower, creates more hip torque, so it's great for quad dominance, but there's a little bit of rocking in it that really challenges tightness. You've got to be really tight. So I can challenge the core now in the actual squat. Then, what's the accessory work for the core? Depends on what the weakness is. Write this down. The function of the abdominals is primarily to serve a strength control profile, which is revolving more around being anti-rotators, anti-side flexors, anti-extensors. So, what is the function of the abdominals in heavy squatting?
Support the spine.
It's to create a brace, but more importantly, a cylindrical brace. When someone actually does their brace correctly, it's not just bracing here to get hit, it actually increases the circumferential measurement of the whole core. Who do you think is going to squat the most weight? Someone with a narrow waist or someone with a wide waist?
Wide.
Alright, so it's not just about anterior to pod or front to back, it's about the circumferential measurements. So when I feel someone's ability to brace, I want to see that they can engage their obliques to help them push my hands out. So therefore, if they're not doing that, I need to train the obliques. And I need to train it in a strength control way that carries over to a bracing.
Right.
Using the squat. So therefore, after we use the rackable cambered bar, we're going to bring in a lot of say pull-up presses. It's great to do it using a band. Do you know what that is?
Yep.
All right. Pull-up press. If it's someone though who I'm watching, now let's say this lady here, unfortunately, is getting lower back pain, not because of rounding and flexion, but lower abdominal weakness, and we're getting that extension loading in the lower back.
See you, man.
It's not so much about training the ability to increase the circumferential measurement of the core, it's now about training the anterior fibers as well as external obliques to control sagittal plane tilting of the pelvis. How do I do that? How do I do that? I do anti-extension work. Make sure that they can control their lower abdominals. What's a simple way of doing that? Do you want to know? Lay down. No, roll over into your... So first, we can do like things like guard hammer curls to the lower abdominals and stuff like that. But one of the best ways is to create a bracing effect and teach them how to use his lower abdominals under load. Remember, extension loading in the back is due to poor sagittal plane position of the pelvis. People under load who drop into anterior tilt are going to smash your lower backs, right? So we need to strengthen and teach coordination of the anterior fibers of the external oblique in terms of their ability to control pelvic positioning.
Hard style plank?
Okay?
Hard style plank?
What side plank?
A hard style plank. Is that what you're going to do with him?
What's a hard style plank?
When you're on your elbows and knees and you draw the knees into the elbows as hard as you can.
No.
Okay.
No. Similar, I call this the thing I've come up with my athletes, because remember, I'm very tactile. How many people do I say get distension and weakness here? So there is a muscle-mind disconnect. So many people start to get sensory amnesia, sensory motor amnesia to their abdominals, that we need to take advantage of Davis' law or a way to stimulate the muscle for the brain to go, oh, this is what we're going to use. So this allows me to do it. So you're going to get on your elbows, you're going to bend your knees, right? No, sorry, legs straight there. So it's just like a plank, we call this a modified plank, where he's going to push up on his elbows like a baby, hips come up off the ground, he's going to squeeze his glutes, like that, so we tied him with glutes, right? You don't watch right now, you just right. Squeeze the glutes hard, so he gets a bit soft here. What's going on here? That's soft, man. Come on. Yeah, okay, so you got a problem this side here. Now, up. Now, just draw the tummy in a little bit. Okay, activate lower abdominals here for me. There, now I've got the tightness, squeeze that. And now he's going to hold that, I'll put him in a gauge, My heel and my hand goes in the sacrum, and I go and resist as I push down. Stimulate more. Now I'm just going to get him to go into a little more hip extension. Lower yourself down a little bit. Here, hold that, brace, squeeze your ass, squeeze the butt, and resist.
Wow.
Resist. Come on, tight. Now he's very aware of his lower abdominals right now.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to force him into nutation. Hold, relax.
What do you call it?
Yeah. We need to figure out what's going wrong with this right butt. This glute's not working very well.
What's that move called?
The side of the arm.
What's that?
That's the side of the arm. The sciatica.
Okay. So see how this stuff works?
Yeah.
So I can feel that his glute, when I'm doing
Couldn't
that,
fire.
it's not firing. He's got a problem there, and he's just told me why. All right. So he's had a disc injury.
Yeah.
All right. So he's damaged. Which one? L4, L5, or 5S1? Okay.
No, not herniated, but bulging. Big.
Yeah. So he's basically just affected the superior or the inferior gluteal nerve, and we're not getting that firing.
Yeah.
But this is why stuff's what you feel. I feel the problem. Feel the problem. Feel the problem. Okay. Now that is so powerful. I had an athlete who was getting back problems through extension loading. When I did that with him, it was pretty much I could overpower him with my hand. So for the first week, we're just going, hold, come on, get this working. And he was on, off, because it was just, he was weak and uncoordinated. He kept doing it. By the end of 8 weeks, and this is when I used to be a heavy bastard, when I used to weigh about 95 to 98 kilos, right? We had it, when he was in that position, I'm sitting on his hips,
Wow.
my feet off the floor, holding a 25 kilo plate. And he was able to go and just hold that.
So do you get them to think about what they're doing with their scaps too, like with their shoulders, or just?
Yes, you can go into all that.
Yep.
But the main thing is it's got that,
Yep.
that,
Yep.
and this.
Yep.
That there builds a lot of strength and coordination in the lower abdominals. All right. What if this lady now has that, and a shoulder problem? Well, we can still squat it with a harness, with a belt. We can still do the reverse hypers. But what about the pressing movements? And we've got to think about how do we change the presses. We can't squat it with a straight bar. It's going to aggravate the shoulder. Right? How do we modify the bench press? How do we modify the pressures to not hit the shoulders? And then you're going to go, and what are the weaknesses there? Just like we've gone back, reverse hypers, multifidus, or we've gone core, power presses, transversus abdominis. Shoulders the same. Modify the lifts, we don't exacerbate it, and then how do we hit the weakness? See how easy it is to build out the programs. And now there's so many moving parts, we know exactly what each moving part's about. All right, I'm going to stop there for a little bit because Mr. Luxon wants to come up. Yeah.